What's good, guys? It's your boy CS back with another one. Currently a bit bunged up, but I'm doing this video mainly for Spartan and for whoever wants to get some good entries. So I'm just going to dive straight in. Let's go and tether dominance. I finally found the rising channel that we've been in. So it starts here, comes up, down, up, down, up, down, and currently we're at a crossroads now. Either it's going to break and we're going to have a full-on blown alt season, or we go full bearish mode. It's just that simple. So yeah, until we get confirmations of this kind of stuff, it's very difficult to see where we're actually heading. A lot of people look, at the end of the day, nobody knows where we're going unless you're a financial elite or an Illuminati, right? Like, there's no way anybody knows for certain. All I can say for certain is I rather buy in extreme fear, and I'd rather sell in extreme greed or greed. I wouldn't be shorting in fear and extreme fear. To me, that's nonsensical. You're doing the opposite. And remember, whatever the herd is doing, you don't want to follow the herd. You actually get the best entries, like I've been getting, by following your own analysis and leaving the noise out. So within this rising channel, we're in this kind of wedge pattern where we came out of it, and now Bitcoin's trying to break back into it. So if we go on the Bitcoin chart and just look at Bitcoin as a whole, it's blasted through 84 region, now at 85.2k, and this is a Sunday pump. At the end of the day, this seems very artificial because we're in these falling wedge patterns. So there's numerous ones here. So there's like a yellow to the red one and then to the green one. So this is kind of like the lower section, the middle section, and the upper section. And each time we just keep bouncing around from each section. So we bounced around from the yellow section down here. Now we're in the mid section and we're finding some resistance here. And potentially what I'm thinking is going to happen next week is we come down to a bare minimum of 83. Could obviously come all the way back down. There is no telling what will happen, but just looking at stocks and, well, the indices, S&P, before we go into the alts and I tell you what's going on. You see this white line here, 563527. This was a big resistance zone. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the 7th time we finally broke it, right? And currently, the SPX is finding this as support now, and it's back testing, which is brilliant because we're back testing off the 50 EMA twice. Now, what I don't want to see is the SPX roll over and break this zone, because if we do, then yes, we could come all the way down to 512306. The good news is that we've back tested it twice and we've come out of this descending channel, which is very, very bullish, because on that candle, we technically back tested it as well. So as I've been saying, the indicators are there for me where we went to, fear and greed at extreme fear at 10, and I bought in around that time. And to me, that's just a massive signal of, look, the whole market is in a bit of a displacement here where we've come down really, really fast. And at the end of the day, if we look at the EMA ribbons, we're not really had any big relief, like up to here, 5850 at a minimum. And I think, look, at the bare minimum, we should be back testing the daily 20 EMA, which is red. If I go into this one, which is red EMA ribbon, right? We've back tested the 200, but actually we're back testing the weekly as well. So it's kind of in a no man's land position where I feel we need to come back and hit these at a bare minimum. And that's what I mean by relief. I'm not saying we're in full blown alt season and blah, blah, blah. Like, look, as soon as I buy right at the bottom, and I don't know what's at the bottom, by the way, I'm just buying because I believe that is a cheap price to buy at, and everybody in the market is very fearful. So if everybody is shorting, who is there left to take out? And that's where you get a short squeeze, right? So just general kind of rationale behind the reason why I take those trades and why I hold on to them. And so at a bare minimum, we should be getting relief to 5746. I don't know what will happen after that. Obviously, I still think there's going to be an alt season and a bull market part 2. And there's a whole reason why I could go into that. But mainly why you're here, where are the setups at? Right. So I'm just going to pick an average coin like AVAX, right? And everything is showing kind of like a symmetrical triangle where you've got the bulls fighting up this way and the bears are fighting up this way, right? We can pick any chart, right? So we can even pick like PONKE, same thing, and the same thing here. PopCat, same thing there, right? Every single chart basically, and the ones that a lot of my guys are following, I'm just going to pick them. So this is what I'm showing you. Every single chart is showing this particular like symmetrical triangle going down. And what we want to ascertain is where is the best place to buy or sell or short. So for me personally, I'm looking at this AVAX chart, which, I use the 200x leverage because I feel this is a really good, and I've put alerts here as well to buy back here, which is if we can't break 18.4 on AVAX, what we're doing is we're testing. Look, we've hit resistance 3 times now, or 4, 5, 6, 7 times, right? So 1, 2 at 19.8, 3, 4, 5, 6, and if we zoom in, nearly, but like 7 times, right? No, at 19.83. Next week, I believe we're going to come all the way down to about 18.5, 18.4, and that's going to be a buy zone for AVAX. If I was a betting man, I'd put my stop loss around here about 17.8, 17.9. But what I'm seeing in the charts is a lot of alts are holding their ground here. And don't get me wrong, this could be a continuation pattern where, they hold their ground for a bit and then they go doop and then they drop. Certainly on the cards. I'm not saying that's not on the cards, but as far as longing, I'd be longing there. Same with FARTCOIN. Like if FARTCOIN now comes back to 3.99, treble 91, so this region here, which we have now flipped as support, that to me is a buy zone. PONKE, same thing here. Like if PONKE comes back down and flips and supports 10285, that's a good zone for them to blast off, because they're basically telling you, look, this is our new support zone. We've broken the resistance. We're going to hold out here for a while. And so a lot of things are pointing to that. Same with Brett. Now, Brett today looks a bit bearish, doesn't look so good. But if it's hovering around here, like 3.1, like 3.1 basically, 0.031, anywhere around here, I believe that would be a good long position, and you could hold out for a while. Like if it gets a nasty wick down and then you take a long, that would be a good long in my opinion. And so that's just where I think we're at. Again, there is a CME gap, which is at 83.9. So next week when we start, 84.1, I do expect us to fill in that CME gap. I expect us to go down at a bare minimum to go and fill that CME gap here. May even come back down and test here at 83.3. That could be the worst of it. And then we shoot off. That's where I'm at with it. And again, a lot of good alts like Solana, for instance. I think Solana will finally get its weekly close above the 128. If we're lucky, we might get it above the 132. So if that happens on a weekly, what it's telling us is actually anything around 128 from next week is a buy. It's a massive buy because it's holding it as support now. We're finding support finally for Solana. And again, I don't think the bull cycle is over. I don't think alt season is over by a long stretch of imagination. I've given the previous 10 reasons as to why that is and why I bought 76k and why I'm holding on. If it comes back and takes me out, fair enough. That's just life. But I've already taken profits as well, so I'm happy. So again, I think the only way that I'm looking at things here is buy. A lot of calls, a lot of influencers are still saying short. A lot of them are confused. They don't know what they're doing. And that's great because they're not even good traders. The only thing they're good at is being scam artists and cons. So again, when you're looking for trading setups, go to people that have been in the game and know how to actually trade and know, what particular patterns they're looking at, whether they're looking at rising wedges, descending wedges, whether they're looking at Japanese candlesticks, hammers, shooting stars, whether they're looking at Heiken Ashi candles. Like, they have to have a good reasoning and a specific reason as to why they're taking a particular trade. But taking a short here, in my opinion again, I wouldn't be looking at any shorts for the most part. And I think a lot of this goes back to risk assets, which is the SPX now has 3 gaps that it needs to fill. So one here, 2 there, and then one at the all-time high. And it does actually have a massive gap below. But I don't think look, we could come back and we could fill it. But I think if we come and fill that, we might as well just continue with a bear trend at that point. And I think there's a lot of extreme fear with what's going on. And with the markets, look, global liquidity, M2, capital injection, the money printers are back on. Nobody really wants to talk about it, but that's going on in the background. So a lot of the big boys, a lot of the top dogs are coming back in and buying secretly as well. Like, why are alts pumping so hard? If we look at FARTCOIN, PONKE had like a 16% candle yesterday. Meme had a 16% candle yesterday. MLG's now back on the scene. A lot of these, coins are doing really well. Like Turbo was 13% yesterday. So don't let this put you off. Like, it's had a 2% candle today. Or Beam. Look, if I go onto Beam is up -4 today, but yesterday 17%, 2%, 1%, 10%. So Beam has secretly had a 30% move. Actually, it's had a bigger move than that. It's had a 40-50% move, whilst nobody's really looking at what's going on. So it's had an 88% move, but people aren't really realizing what's going on here. And again, I believe this will retrace and then we'll get a massive move. That's what I'm thinking. Anyway, that's where my head is at with all this palaver. Anyway, guys, wish you all the best for trading. I'm probably going to be sidelined for the most part as I'm too bunged up to trade. And unless there's a real big clear indicator for me to trade, like the AVAX trade at 18.4, 18.5, or Solana at 128, 127, I don't think I'm going to be too much into the game this week, just because